Jai Bhim, Jai Mulnivasi, and welcome you all once again to Sunday prime time session of English session. As it is Sunday, every Sunday, as you know, we are organizing the session specifically in English, and we are going to touch very this current topic today, and we are going to analyze the union budget. As you all of you know that just last 1st February, the general budget of India was presented and it was presented by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitaramaya before the last term of Modi government, that is before 2024 elections. And a lot of pros and cons, lot of discussions are going on with respect to this budget. So we thought it better to discuss this current topic so that we will come to know what exactly is there in this particular budget and how it is different from the previous budgets and what impact it can have on the upcoming year 2023 and 2024. So today we have with us Professor P.S. Kamble sir. Sir, Jai Bhim, Jai Mulnivasi, Jai Samvidhan, Jai Bharat. Okay. Welcome you to the MNT News Network studio, and today we are going to discuss about the budget 2023, which was presented on 1st of December. So, sir, we would like to know, as you are an economist and in this particular field, doing your study for so many years and critically analyzing the budget every year. So, we would like to hear from you how you feel this budget was. Particularly, we are going to discuss about this budget and its impact on scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and OBC. That is impact on the Mulnivasi Bahujan society, particularly with respect to the education, the health sector, the employment sector. So all these sector, we would like to know from you. How do you see from your eyes this particular budget and its impact on the overall Mulnivasi Bahujan society, sir? Sir, please explain, sir.
First of all, I am very much thankful to MNT English for organizing discussion on a very current and burning topic, that is Union Budget 2023-24. On 1st February, the budget was presented by Finance Minister of India, that is Nirmala Sitaraman. When I look at this budget, actually this budget I describe has not paid much attention which was required to be paid so far as social inclusive development on the one hand and welfare of the socially deprived communities like scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and others. Already you have opened up the topic how the budget is there in the context of education, health, employment, poverty, inequality, like that. Actually, this budget concentrates on infrastructure development and some attention has been paid towards agriculture so far as development is concerned. But it has just excluded or less attention has been paid towards education, towards health, employment, poverty, inequality are just excluded. And talking about welfare schemes for the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, provisions have been made compared to the previous years. But actually, the increase or growth in the provisions of expenditure to be incurred on the welfare of scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, minorities, and all other socially deprived communities, just marginal growth has been provided, growth has been taken place, and therefore I describe this budget as a very less attention paid towards what I would say is human face. Human face, less attention has been paid, and that is the point which is required to be analyzed, required to be discussed. Actually, I was expecting much attention towards the social welfare and human face of the society, but to that extent, the effort has not been made so far as the budget is concerned. Now, talking about health, just 157 nursing colleges in the medical colleges already have been set up. New nursing colleges will be started. That is only, and one more, that is the tackling of sickle cell anemia problem. In addition to that, much attention has not been paid. Research in pharmaceutical and research relating to health with the private public partnership that is there. And expenditure on health is actually it is inadequate. Already we have seen in the corona pandemic period, it was in the previous budget, it was provided 2.1% of GDP, and this year again expenditure on health, that is some increase has been made, but that increase is just marginal. To cite some statistical data, in 2023-24, the provision has been made for health is 88,956 crore, which was 77,351. 10,000 growth is there, but that growth is marginal, taking into consideration the importance of health, significance of health, and that is of crucial importance. And supplementary to that, already medical colleges have been set up. Medical colleges have been set up. In those medical colleges, new 157 nursing colleges will be set up. That is only the striking feature of this budget, and that health scheme of the Prime Minister, that will be continued, and research will be endeavored in the this what we call it as a pharmaceutical sector and health sector. That these are only a few provisions those are there in health sector. Already we have seen that in corona pandemic period, the health condition, especially of the public sector, was not good. To that, it is that clearly adequately proves that health to that extent is not being paid due attention so far as this budget is concerned. All of us know public health sector is its maximum benefits are being derived by the socially deprived communities, and our health sector is dominated by the private sector, and public sector is comparatively paralyzed. It is comparatively weak, but unfortunately to that extent attention has not been paid, and consequently the data tells us that more than 50% females suffer from anemia. Again, mortality rate is also higher. Infant mortality rate is also higher. If it is taken into account, to that extent health has not been given attention that is there. More or less same is the situation of education. Education also, expenditure on education has been increased, but the growth is marginal. In the year 2023-24, provision for education is 1,12,899 crore. Previously, it was 99,801. So there is an increase of 1,000 crore rupees for education. But in this budget, the effort have been made only to the schools, and the schools only their teacher recruitment will be endeavored. Colleges, universities have been totally excluded, and we are implementing national education policy which intends or which expects higher quality teaching and research, but no new university, no new colleges have been introduced, have been prescribed in this budget, and education is also comparatively excluded atom, and education is the source of livelihood and empowering of the socially deprived communities like scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBCs, minorities, and other socially deprived communities. And the effort will be made in the coming year towards the digital library at the district level, training program for the teachers, and some libraries at rural level. These are only the provisions, but unfortunately national education policy intends to achieve 50% gross enrollment ratio on higher education. At this moment it is only 27, and there is a lot of disparity in the potentiality to participate in higher education and actual participation in higher education. There is a gap of about 30%. The study by Basant and Sen that has adequately proved that a significant gap is there in the potentiality to participate and actual participation in higher education. If that is taken into account, and again there will be wide disparity in rural, urban, there will be wide disparity across the social groups. So Bahujan community, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, OBCs, and minorities and socially deprived communities, those will be the victims of the budgetary provisions relating to education that is there. All of us know the empowerment and growth and development of deprived communities exclusively depends upon the employment generation that takes place. In this budget, the effort is there on the infrastructure development and agriculture development. Besides that, no attention is there on industrial development and employment guarantee scheme. So consequently, there is a problem of employment generation. Employment generation to that extent will not take place, and as the result of that, what will happen? The socially deprived communities will suffer from, because employment is only the source of their empowerment. Employment is only their source of employment, and consequently their empowerment, their growth and development. All of us know the rate of unemployment is significantly higher and greater. In April 2020, the rate of unemployment was 25%. Now it is about 10%, and CMI report tells us that it is unemployment is increasing. Again, there is a disparity between urban and rural areas. In urban areas, higher. Across the social groups also, unemployment is higher, and especially the scheduled tribes, OBCs and minorities, those will suffer from the fall and inadequate increase in employment opportunities. In this budget, no any provision is there about the employment in formal sector. All employment will take place in prominently informal sector, which is of higher and higher, level. That strategy or that philosophy is there, higher and higher philosophy, and consequently no social security is there, no social coverage is there, no social network is there, and that provision that we see so far as employment is concerned. When employment has not paid due attention, consequently poverty has not paid due attention, and major poor people are from the Bahujan community, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBCs, minorities, and weaker section. And one of the sustainable development goals is zero poverty. And even we have inadequate level of poverty line we have is 47 rupees in urban areas and 32 rupees in rural areas. Crores of people are poor. Recently in 2022, Niti Aayog has given a report, and that report is relating to multi-dimensional poverty index, report based on multi-dimensional poverty. And that report tells us that the intensity of poverty in India is 25%. In the country of population of 140, 25% people or population is below the poverty line when multi-dimensional poverty index is taken into account. If that is taken into account, again, this multi-dimensional poverty is, again, it is different across the states. In Bihar, in northern state, it is higher comparatively. In southern state, it is comparatively lesser. The disparity is also there. And across the social groups, the intensity of poverty is greater and higher among the socially deprived communities like scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBCs, minorities. That is there. Again, this will adversely affect what we call it as a survival and sustenance of the deprived communities or socially excluded communities that will take place. In addition to that, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program, that was employment generating program, which was especially restricted to rural areas. And unfortunately, in the budget for 2023-24, the provision for Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program has been decreased about by 30,000 crores rupees. In 2022-23, it was 89,400 crore rupees, which was allotted to Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program. And in this budget, it is allocated only 60,000 crores rupees. So about 30,000 crore rupees decrease is there in the provision of expenditure for employment guarantee program. And when we look at the beneficiaries of the employment guarantee program, those are basically from the deprived communities, socially excluded communities and discriminated communities, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBCs, minorities, that is there. If that is taken into account, what we get is that, again, this Mahatma Gandhi Employment Guarantees Program will adversely affect welfare of the Bahujans, welfare of the Bahujan community, welfare of the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, because unemployment is higher and we are shrinking employment generation program like Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program. Actually, the Manrega should be introduced in urban areas, and its implementation was urgently, rigorously, honestly required in urban areas also. But unfortunately, the provision of expenditure for the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program has been decreased. It has been decreased. That is there. Now, talking about social welfare is a direct. Social welfare is directly benefits. Social welfare directly benefits to the socially deprived communities. And in this budget, some provisions are there. Provision has increased, but the increase is marginal. In provision of expenditure for social welfare is there, but it is marginal. To cite data for 2023-24, provision of expenditure for social welfare is 50,080 crore rupees, which was previously 46,510. So 4,000 crore rupees increase is there. But again, it is inadequate because all the social communities, deprived communities are included in that. Scheduled caste is there, scheduled tribe is there, OBCs are there, and again that is inadequate. Again, that is inadequate so far as the provision for social welfare is concerned. Women welfare is there, children welfare is there, and again that will adversely affect welfare of the people, social welfare of the deprived communities that is there. If that is taken into account, again, if category-wise, community-wise provisions are taken into account, that gives us an idea that again a marginal growth is found on the welfare provision relating to scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, weaker sections. Take example for minorities, provision in the budget for the year 2020-23 was 530 crores. But in 23-24, it is just 610. For vulnerable groups, that is weaker sections, provision was 1,921, and the provision has increased to 2,194. That is about 200, provision of about 200 crores is there. That increase is there. For scheduled tribes, the provision is scheduled tribe provision is 3,874 crores was there for scheduled tribe, and it is now 4,295. That is about 100 crore rupees increase is there. For scheduled tribe, provision was 7,222, and now it is 9,409. That is a provision of about 2,000 crore is there, and for scheduled tribe, it is increase of 1,000 crore is there. But taking into account their needs and their situation, socioeconomic condition, poverty is higher significantly, and again we can see that they are the sufferers of unemployment. Employment generation is there, recruitments are not there, and representation they are not getting. Reservation policies becoming old and outdated. It has no meaning at all. In private sector, no representation or affirmative action policies there. It is therefore to that extent it will be victimized. Growth of India is taking place, and we are intending to reach India's economic growth to $5 trillion economy. Growth is taking place in this budget also, in the Economist Survey of India also. The growth is expected more than 6% in GDP, which is highest compared to the other countries. But the distribution is lacking. And unfortunately, in this budget, no word of the inequalities is there. But inequalities are growing very rapidly and significantly. Economic inequalities comprise.
Sorry, there was a network disturbance, and Kamble sir left us in between the session, and he was trying to reconnect us, and just now I got a message that he is able to rejoin. So let us once again welcome Professor V.S. Kamble sir. Sir, welcome once again to MNT Network, and we are really sorry for the network that was lost, and we were hearing a very important information from you, and in between it got disturbed. So we would like to continue with you from the where we left where we left, and we will continue that session, specifically the impact of this budget on the Mulnivasi Bhojan Society, and what way forward, or what is your message to our viewers? Please continue,
Yes,
sir.
yes. First of all, I must thank Ashish sir and MNT English as well, because budget is very important. It is a reflection mirror of development policy. And when we look at the budget of Union Government of India for the year 2023-24, it is found that first of all, I will present before you the summary of what is there in the budget for 23-24 and how it is going to impact. And lastly, I will place before you what suggestions, what corrections, what modifications those are required in the budget for 23-24, so that this budget can be more inclusive. This budget can be more social welfare oriented. This budget can provide maximum and more benefits of growth that India will realize. Talking about the budget for 2023-24, when we look at budget in development perspective, it is divided into two aspects or two dimensions. One is economic growth or economic development, and another is social development. So far as this budget is concerned, it tries to provide for some provisions which will be helpful in the development of agriculture. In the development of yes, agriculture development is required, because during the corona pandemic period, agriculture helped a lot, provided a very important role, and consequently agriculture development was required. So in this budget, agriculture priority is given attention, and more importantly, the development of horticulture. Horticulture is a cash crop that can improve agriculture development and growers. So horticulture is given also priority, and prominently the startups related to agriculture and allied activities like dairy is there, like poultry is there, fishery is there, that will be developed. Definitely it is a welcome step. But one is missed out, that is how we are going to reduce overburden on agriculture, because today also about 60% of the total population is depending upon agriculture as a source of livelihood, which is not required. So there is urgent need for transferring this excessive manpower from agriculture to non-agriculture, but in that direction the efforts are not made. That provision is required. One more very important provision is there in this budget, that is infrastructure development. A road is there, transport is there, communication is there, energy power is there. That development is provided, capital expenditure is increased, investment is increased. But prominently the till this experience tells us that infrastructure development like road, highways and national highways and airports have been taken place based on the participation of private sector. And when it is exclusive participation of private sector, that can adversely impact the Bahujan Samaj or Mulnivasi, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBCs and minorities, because when it is in the hands of the private sector, it is just for profit motive, it is just for profit maximization, and it is therefore when infrastructure development will take place because of the contributions of the private sector, that can exploit the poor strata of the society, that can exploit the poor people, poor community, Bahujan and Mulnivasi society community in the Indian economy. So what is required? It is required contribution of both public and private participation in infrastructure is required, and prominently controlling, monitoring and regulation of the private sector is of crucial importance. And in that direction, efforts are required. In that direction, provisions are required. Only exclusively infrastructure development based on the private sector, that is not feasible, that is not favorable, that is not supportive and justified in the country like us. One important thing which has been missed out in this budget is attention towards the industry sector development has not been taken place. That attention has not been made, but the economic history of the world tells us that those countries which have developed their industry sector, those have been emerged out as industrially developed countries and consequently economically supreme countries as well. Former President of India, APJ Abdul Kalam, was talking about there is a conversion of Indian economy into economically supreme country, economically supreme economy by 2020, but we missed that chance.
And he justified that India is a young country. India, youth is dominated, and youth is power, youth is energy of growth and development. And we are not in a position to utilize properly, extract properly the youth of the engine of growth or energy of growth, and that is required. Education is necessary to be given, qualitative and adequate. Health facilities are necessary to be given, and more importantly, employment generation is very important. In this budget, no attention is paid there towards the employment generation. Only agriculture and allied activities development and infrastructure development only to some extent generate employment, but formal employment has not been talked about. Employment policy is not there so far as employment generation is concerned, because higher level employment generation is of crucial importance, it is of greater importance, and in that direction efforts are not there. We should establish a link between economic growth and employment, and that provision is very much required, which has been missed out. On the one hand, industrial development emphasis should be given. We are between 25 to 30% share so far as contribution of industry sector into GDP of India is concerned, and it is necessary to be dominated. Actually, service sector is dominated in India so far as economic growth of India is concerned. That scenario, that picture is necessary to be changed. We should be industry sector dominated than the service sector, and that can generate also more employment opportunities, and employment more is required because rate of unemployment is very much higher in India. It is more than 10% at this moment, and theory tells us that it should be 3% so far as it is there in every country, because of technological changes, because of changes in taste and habits of the people, and that is required. But unfortunately, employment policy and control of unemployment is not there. One more very important social challenge, it has been missed out in this budget, that is the solving of the problem of poverty. Only Pantapradhan Garib Kalyan Yojana is there, and it will be continued further for some period. And through that, food security is endeavored to realize and achieve. Actually, food security is a very much important, and in sustainable development goal, it is also one of the goals. So food security program should be continuous. It should be continuous, but for some period it will be implemented, and it will not serve the purpose of food security to be provided to Indians in the country. In that direction, effort have not been made. Poverty is very intensive. 47 rupees, 32 rupees, even poverty line is taken into account. Crores of people are poor, and at international level, poverty line is 2.5 American dollar. So it comes at more than 200 rupees. If that is taken into account, there is a need for revision of the poverty line, and poor are necessary to be given benefits of the growth that takes place. Our poverty line is necessary to be increased. Multidimensional poverty index report tells us that the poverty intensity in India is 25%. If we are 140 crore people, 25%, again it comes as 60-70 crore. And as per the sustainable development goal, what is required? It is required zero poverty. Only 7 years are in the hands of us, and in seven years, 50 crore people, 40 crore people, poverty is necessary to be discarded, necessary to be abolished. And just we are implementing Pantapradhan Garib Kalyan Yojana, that is distribution of food grains only. That is not adequate and sufficient. It should be supported by the scheme like minimum universal basic income scheme. Such a scheme is required. Such scheme is of crucial importance. That is very much necessary. Again, this budget doesn't talk about any inequality. Inequality is very intensive. Thomas Piketty has cautioned to India. 2017 Oxfam report has cautioned. 2018 Oxfam report has cautioned. 2022 World Inequality report has cautioned India that inequalities are growing. Income inequality, wealth inequality, consumption inequality. As per 2022 World Inequality report, 50% families share in national income of India is only 7%. And in wealth it is only 13%. And 10% richest families have purchased a share in national income 57%, and 65% in the total wealth of India. That is taken into account. inequalities are growing very rapidly and significantly. Those are of crucial importance. Those are of higher gravity. So inequality is necessary to be taken very seriously. Its control, its restriction is of crucial importance. It is of greater importance. In that direction, the efforts are required, and those are not there. The term inequality is also not referred. It is not referred in the budget, and that is very, very serious thing which is necessary to be taken into account. Then welfare, again social welfare. Social welfare is very less attention paid. I would like to place before you some of the provisions in the budget about some of the very important things. Talking about social welfare, what provision is there? Provision is there in this budget. The provision has been increased by 9,000 crore rupees on social welfare program. Scheduled caste are there, scheduled tribes are there, OBCs are there, minorities are there, women are there. The sum totality of that on their welfare scheme, only 9,000 crore rupees has been increased. If their share in the population is taken into account and their challenges and problems, those are taken into account, that is just meager. So that should be taken very seriously. Again, employment is a very important problem. But in this budget, employment has been neglected. You might be knowing it is depending upon only agriculture and allied activities development and infrastructure development for employment generation. But employment should be given very serious attention, very, very increased attention, very important attention. And through that, the efforts are required so as to increase employment opportunities. So employment policies required. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program, which generates employment in rural areas especially. Actually, that scheme is required in urban areas also. Provision of expenditure on Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program has been decreased substantially. In the last year, it was 89,400 crore rupees, and now it is only 60,000 crore rupees. So there is a cut down of 30,000 crore rupees on Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program. Actually, provision was necessary to be increased, and more importantly, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program was necessary to be implemented in urban areas also. But in that direction, the efforts have not been made. In that direction, the efforts are not being made in this budget, and consequently, that increase of the expenditure for Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program is very much necessary. It is very much necessary. And one more thing which is necessary to be taken into account relating to Manrega, relating to Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program, that is, this scheme should be implemented in urban areas also. And latest CMI report tells us that unemployment in urban area is increasing rapidly, and it is significantly higher than the unemployment in rural area. If that is taken into account, employment and unemployment should be given increased attention both in rural and urban areas, and provision is necessary to be increased on Manrega in rural areas, and the same scheme should be implemented in urban areas so that employment opportunities can be generated, and our engine of growth, youth, the young youth or youths of India, those can be exploited and utilized very properly for productive purposes for the growth of the economy, and that effort is very much required. In the context of social welfare, welfare provision for welfare of minorities, it is just meager. In the last year, provision in the budget for welfare of minority was 530 crores rupees, and now it is 610. Only 80,000 rupees, 80,000 crore rupees have been increased on the welfare of minorities, and that is not sufficient and adequate. That is necessary to be taken. For the welfare of weaker sections of the society, the provision is increased only to 2,191 crore rupees in this budget. Previously, it was 1,921. Thus, there is increase of only 100 crores rupees, 100 crore rupees on the welfare of weaker sections of the society, and that is inadequate and insufficient. For the welfare of scheduled tribes, increase of only 500 crore rupees is there. In the last year, it was 3,875 crore rupees, and in the this budget, 4,294. So there is increase of only 600 crore rupees on the welfare of scheduled tribes. And all of us know what are the socio-economic challenges, what are the socio-economic problems the scheduled tribes are facing. Very intensive and of higher gravity and intensity is there. So that that provision is not adequate at all. It is just inadequate. Talking about expenditure for welfare of scheduled castes, there is increase of only 100 1,500 crore rupees. 1,500 crore increase is there on the welfare of scheduled tribes. If that is taken into account, again, that is very inadequate, that is very insufficient, which is necessary to be taken into account. Actually, we want to be Vishwa Guru. We want to be educationally highly developed and super developed, and therefore we are implementing National Education Policy 2020. Surprisingly, in this budget, no reference of National Education Policy. Actually, number of provisions, number of challenges and issues relating to National Education Policy 2020 are there. But unfortunately, in this budget, no reference of National Education Policy is there. Through this National Education Policy, we are expecting to increase our quality of education, research of education, qualitative colleges, qualitative universities, qualitative research institute. But in this budget, no any reference of National Education Policy is there. Some provision has been increased on the education, that is from 99,881 in the previous year to 1,200,891 crore in 22-23. But they are going to give attention towards Eklavya schools. Eklavya school, the schools are for scheduled tribe, it is good, no problem, because that is inclusive, that is necessary. But that is not sufficient and adequate. What about new universities in India? What about new colleges in India? What about understaffing of the teaching staff? What about understaffing of the non-teaching staff? What about ranking of universities? Where our place is there? Teachers have no projects, teachers have no grants, inadequate staff is there, and no reference of the problems and challenges of education is there. In China, one slogan is there: when you want to discard, when you want to damage any country, any society, just discard your education system, damage your education system. No bomb is required, no nuclear power is required, no war is required. Only destruction, damage of education system entirely damages entirely entire society and economy. In that direction, the efforts are going on. No provision, adequate provision is there for education, especially National Education Policy. Lot of provision was required. New universities are required, new colleges are required, new teacher recruitment is required. Incentives and guidance and motivations and encouragement for research projects are required, but no efforts are there. We are just trying for 50% gross enrollment ratio in higher education. Now it is 27, and we are saying it will be realized through distance education. It will be realized through online education, and this regular education, formal education, we are going to discard in the coming future, and that is very harmful. That is very disappointing. That is there. We have also not paid attention towards health development. In 22-23 budget, 2.1% of GDP, both central government and state government going to spend. In this budget, the provision is less. Provision is there, a little bit increase is there, but it is marginal increase. For health provision in the last budget was 77,351 crore rupees, and in this budget 88,951, 11,000 crore provision is there for health. But that is not sufficient and adequate, because health sector is dominated by private sector. We have specialty, super specialty, multi-specialty hospitals, but Mulnivasi, Bhujan Samaj is not in a position to get or derive benefits of health facilities, and health has become private commodity. Health has become private commodity. It is like that education. It is a social commodity. It is a public commodity, but we are forgetting, and we are giving treatment of private commodity to the education as well as to the health. A lot of potentiality is there in participation in education, especially higher education. And expenditure for education is also very inadequate. It is less than 4% of GDP, both of the central government and state government. And more or less the same scenario is there in the budget for 22, 23, 24 also. So that is required to be taken into account. No attention is paid towards employment generation, towards tackling problem of unemployment, towards tackling a problem of poverty. Zero poverty is required in 2030. Only 7 years are there in our hands to disposal. And in 75 years, we couldn't tackle the problem of poverty because we didn't take poverty very seriously. It was just political agenda. It was just political announcement. Inequality has not been touched upon in this budget. Inequality is very challenging, and that is taken very seriously. In this backdrop, what changes, what amendments, what revisions are required to be undertaken in this budget for 2023-24, so that this budget can be eco-society, pro-society. This budget can be pro-welfare. This budget can be pro-inclusive. This budget can be for all. So revisions are required, corrections are required. Number one, budget is a constitutional document, so it will not overslide or overcome, or it will cross the spirit of the constitution. This should not happen. So budget should be corrected, budget should be revised, budget should be prepared in the framework of constitution, that is equality, social justice, social welfare, and fraternity. Economic, social, and political equality and justice and welfare is very much required. Number two is there is need for employment policy. Employment policy is urgently needed, and growth employment linkages are necessary to be established because the problem of unemployment is very severe. It is very intensive, and India is a young country. India is a country of young or youths. So that policy is required. Generate employment opportunities, and formal employment is also necessary to be given because unemployment problem can adversely affect poverty, it can adversely affect inequality, it can adversely affect starvation, it can adversely affect welfare of the society, that is of Mulnivasi and Bahujans. So that provision is required. Poverty policy is required because in 7 years we have to realize zero poverty. Inequality should be taken seriously. Inequality measures are rigorous, those are necessary. Progressive taxation is required. Richest families are bearing only very meager economic burden of the taxes, but poor people are bearing more burden of taxes. So direct tax proportion is necessary to be increased compared to the indirect tax proportion, and progressivity in taxation is required. And more importantly, redistribution of income from richest strata of the society, like that of wealth as well, to the poor strata of the society is very much required. Expenditure on education is necessary to be increased. Expenditure on health is necessary to be increased. Expenditure on social welfare, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBCs, minorities is very women and children is very much necessary. Employment should be given importance. Food security should be given importance because 2030 we have to realize food security. Starvation, we are very much lagging behind. Human development index, we are lagging behind. These are the areas in which urgent revisions are required. That is, prepare budget in the framework of constitution, increase employment opportunity generation, tackle problem of poverty very seriously, tackle problem of inequality very seriously, increase expenditure on social welfare, welfare of scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBCs, minorities, increase expenditure on education, increase expenditure on health, increase expenditure on employment generation, Manrega, etc. If these provisions and corrections are made in the real sense of meaning the budget for 2023-24, it will be a pro-society, it will be a pro-welfare, it will be socially inclusive, and it will be for the nation as a whole, everyone in the country, every citizen of country, and prominently it will be for the Bahujans, it will be for the Mulnivasis, it will be for the major part of the society, and these revisions, corrections, and modifications are urgently required. In coming 7 or 10 days, in that direction, discussion will take place in Parliament, and these provisions, corrections, and revisions and modifications are incorporated then in the real sense of money, meaning the budget will be correct, the budget will be proper, it will be in the framework of constitution and for the welfare of the entire society, for the pro society, for the pro welfare of the society that is there. That is what I want to please do for you.
Yes, sir.
Over to you,
Thank you.
Ashish, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for explaining what this budget is, what is meant for, what are the provisions made, and what basically it should have been, what additional provisions should have been in this in this budget, so that the 85% of Mulnivasi Bhajan society can get it satisfied with their needs, basic needs. And definitely, whatever suggestions you had made, let us hope that within 7 to 10 days, if these provisions are thought of in the interest of the citizens of India, in the interest of Mulnivasi Bhajan society, then definitely this will make a big impact, because that is what the budget provisions are or should be, to help the citizens of India, because they are the taxpayers, they are the people who are regularly giving the tax and generating the fund for the government. So definitely all these provisions should be looked into. Sir, thank you very much for rejoining us and explaining the entire budget and its provisions and how it can be in the favor of the Mulnivasi Bhajan society, with the provisions, with the amendments. If it happens, really, it will be a means of use, and it will be beneficial to the Mulnivasi Bhajan society. Thank you very much, sir, for joining today. We will once again invite you on some different days, some different topic, and definitely we hope that you will rejoin for this session. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
So this was Professor P.S. Kamble, sir, who was economist and a professor also, and he is continuously analyzing the economic aspect of the entire scenarios or whatever developments are happening in India. And we are really we are really fortunate to see that he has elaborated, analyzed this particular budget as far as the Mulnivasi Bhajan society is concerned. He had touched in different aspects and given more information, inside information about the budget. So this video will be there in this particular link. So request to all the viewers to like it, comment it, and share it in the entire network of your social media, so that this important information is passed on to maximum, and they can know their rights, they can know what this budget is and what amendments needs to be done in this budget. With this, I would like to thank you all for giving your valuable time in listening to this particular session. Tomorrow at 8:30, once again we will meet, and tomorrow the same topic we will be analyzing it in Hindi, because tomorrow is a Hindi day. So tomorrow, Monday, it will be the topic of बजट 2023 का मूल्यवासी समाज पर असर. Again, Professor P.S. Kamble sir is going to join tomorrow at 8:30 and explaining the same thing, this budget in Hindi language, so that the maximum our viewers who are from the Hindi belt will get more information on this particular topic. So thank you very much once again for joining. Once again, I thank all of you. And here we are ending the session. Thank you very much. Jai Bhim, Jai Mulnivasi, Jai Samvidhan, Jai Bharat.